There's a moment in everyone's life when you look around and ask yourself, is this all there is? Is this who I'm supposed to be? It's a question that feels both unsettling and electrifying, because it's the first sign that something inside you is ready to change. It's not a sign of failure. It's a call to awaken. A call to step into a version of yourself that's been waiting, hidden beneath the surface for you to discover it. Transformation doesn't start with the world around you. It starts within. It starts with self-awareness. And self-awareness is not just about knowing who you are. It's about being brutally honest with yourself about where you're thriving and where you're holding yourself back. It's about pulling back the curtain on your own life and asking the tough questions. Why do I make the choices I make? Why do I react the way I do? What patterns am I stuck in that no longer serve me? It's not easy. Looking in the mirror, really looking, is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Because when you strip away the excuses, the justifications, and the stories you tell yourself to feel better, you're left with the truth. And the truth can be uncomfortable. It can be painful, but it's also liberating. The truth is where transformation begins. When you start to see yourself clearly, you gain the power to change. You realize that you're not defined by your past, your mistakes, or the labels others have placed on you. You are a work in progress, and every moment is an opportunity to rewrite your story. But let's not romanticize transformation. It's messy. It's not a straight line or a neat process. It's full of stops and starts, breakthroughs and setbacks. There will be moments when you feel unstoppable, like you've cracked the code of life. And there will be moments when you question everything, when it feels like you're moving backward instead of forward. That's normal. That's growth. Self-awareness is your compass in this journey. It's what keeps you grounded when things feel chaotic. It's what helps you navigate the twists and turns with a sense of purpose. Without awareness, transformation can feel like stumbling around in the dark. But with it, you have a light to guide you. Being self-aware means tuning into your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment. It's about observing yourself with curiosity, not criticism. Why did that situation make you so angry? Why do you keep avoiding that one task? Why does a certain person always seem to push your buttons? These aren't just random quirks, they're clues, the clues that point to deeper beliefs, fears, and desires. And once you start to understand those deeper layers, you begin to see the patterns in your life, the ways you've been holding yourself back, the habits that keep you stuck, the stories you've been telling yourself about what's possible or not possible for you. This kind of awareness is like shining a flashlight into a dark room. At first, it's uncomfortable. You see all the things you've been ignoring. But then you realize that now, with the light on, you can start to clean things up. You can start to create space for something new. Transformation isn't about fixing yourself. You're not broken. It's about uncovering the best version of yourself, the version that's already there but might be buried under layers of fear, doubt, or conditioning. And here's the beautiful part. The more self-aware you become, the more you realize that you already have everything you need to change. The strength, the courage, the resilience, it's all there. You just have to tap into it. But let's not sugarcoat this process. Transformation requires work. It requires commitment. It requires you to show up for yourself every single day. Even when it's hard, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because the truth is, transformation happens in the small moments. It's not about waiting for some big, life-altering event. It's about the choices you make every day. Do you choose to confront your fears, or do you let them control you? Do you choose to break old habits, or do you cling to what's familiar? Do you choose to believe in your potential, or do you settle for less? These choices might seem small in the moment, but they add up. They create momentum. And let's talk about fear, because it's one of the biggest obstacles to transformation. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. These fears are normal. They're part of being human, but they don't have to define you. Self-awareness helps you see fear for what it is, a signal, not a stop sign. Fear is your mind's way of trying to protect you from discomfort. But growth requires discomfort. It requires you to step outside of your comfort zone, to take risks, to face uncertainty head on. The good news is, the more you confront your fears, the less power they have over you. Each time you step into discomfort and come out the other side, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. And that's where confidence comes from, not from avoiding challenges, but from facing them. Another critical part of transformation is letting go. Letting go of the things that no longer serve you. Old habits, toxic relationships, limiting beliefs, they're like anchors, keeping you tied to a version of yourself that you've outgrown. Letting go isn't easy, it's scary. Because even when something isn't good for us, it's familiar. And familiarity feels safe. But holding on to what's familiar keeps you stuck. It keeps you from moving forward. Letting go is an act of courage. It's saying, I'm ready to make some matter of my fate. Even I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. And as you let go, you create room for new possibilities, for new habits, new relationships, new ways of thinking. This is where the magic of transformation happens. When you start to see that the person you're becoming is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true self than the person you're leaving behind. But transformation isn't just about changing yourself, it's about how you show up in the world. When you become more self-aware, you start to see how your actions, words, and energy impact others. You become more intentional, more compassionate, more present. And that ripple effect can be profound. Because when you transform yourself, you inspire others to do the same. This journey isn't about reaching some perfect destination. It's about the process, the growth, the discovery. It's about learning to embrace who you are while striving to become who you're meant to be. And that's a journey that never really ends. There will always be new layers to uncover, new challenges to face, new ways to grow. But here's the most important thing to remember. You are capable of transformation. No matter where you are right now, no matter what your past looks like, no matter how many times you've tried and failed, you have the power to change. The power to become more self-aware. The power to create a life that feels true to who you are. It won't happen overnight. There will be days when it feels impossible, when you want to give up. But don't. Keep going. Keep showing up for yourself. Because every step you take, no matter how small, is a step closer to the life you want. This is your journey. Your transformation. Your chance to become the best version of yourself. And it all starts with self-awareness, the courage to look within, the willingness to face the truth, and the determination to change what needs to be changed. You are stronger than you think, braver than you know, and your potential is limitless. Trust yourself, believe in yourself, and watch what happens when you fully embrace the power of transformation. Self-discipline and positive habits, these two forces have the power to transform your life in ways you might not even believe right now. But let's be honest, when you hear the word self-discipline, it might sound rigid, restrictive, or even daunting. You might think it's about forcing yourself to do things you hate or depriving yourself of the joys in life. And positive habits might feel like a buzzword, something everyone talks about but few actually master. The truth is, self-discipline isn't about punishment, and positive habits aren't about perfection. Together, they're about building a life that feels aligned, purposeful, and fulfilling. They're about taking control, even when life feels chaotic. They're about saying, I care enough about my future self to do what matters today. But let's get real, developing self-discipline isn't easy. It's not something you wake up with one day after reading a motivational quote or watching a video. It's a muscle, one you build through repetition, patience, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. And the thing is, you don't need to be naturally disciplined to get started. No one is born with it. It's something you create bit by bit, one decision at a time. What makes self-discipline powerful is that it doesn't rely on fleeting motivation. Motivation is great, it's the spark that gets you started, but it's not dependable. It comes and goes. Some days you wake up ready to conquer the world, and other days you just want to stay under the covers. Self-discipline is what carries you through those tough days. It's what gets you to show up even when you don't feel like it. Think about this. Every decision you make is a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you choose to stick to a commitment, even when it's hard, you're telling yourself, I am capable. I am in control. And every time you give in to the easier option, you're reinforcing the opposite message. Self-discipline is about making those small, deliberate choices that align with your goals over and over again. But let's not overlook the role of positive habits in this equation. Habits are the building blocks of self-discipline. They're the routines and behaviors you put on autopilot so you don't have to rely on willpower every single time. Because let's face it, willpower is finite. If you're constantly making decisions, constantly resisting temptation, you'll burn out. That's where habits come in. They streamline your actions, making it easier to stay on track. The beauty of positive habits is that they start small. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. In fact, trying to do too much at once is a recipe for failure. Change happens incrementally. Maybe it's committing to drinking a glass of water every morning or spending 5 minutes stretching before bed. These might seem like tiny actions, but they're the foundation of something much bigger. The key to building habits is consistency. It's not about doing something perfectly, it's about doing it regularly. Miss a day, fine. Miss 2 days, that's a problem. The goal is to create a rhythm, a pattern that feels natural. And as those habits take root, they start to compound. They build momentum. One positive habit leads to another, and before you know it, you're living a life that feels intentional and aligned. Here's the thing though, not all habits are created equal. Some habits might feel positive on the surface but don't actually move you closer to your goals. That's why self-awareness is crucial. Take a hard look at your daily routines. What are the habits that are serving you? And what are the ones holding you back? Be honest with yourself. It's not about judgment, it's about understanding where you are so you can make conscious choices moving forward. Let's talk about the role of discomfort because it's an unavoidable part of self-discipline and building habits. We live in a world that prioritizes instant gratification. Everything is designed to give us what we want right now. But the things that matter most in life, the things that truly bring fulfillment, don't come easily. They require effort, patience, and yes, discomfort. Discomfort is not your enemy. In fact, it's a sign that you're growing. Every time you push through that moment when you'd rather quit, you're rewiring your brain. You're proving to yourself that you're stronger than the urge to give up. And over time, those small victories add up. They become part of your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who keeps their promises, someone who's disciplined. But let's not forget the importance of balance. Self-discipline doesn't mean working yourself into the ground or never allowing yourself to rest. It's not about being harsh with yourself. True discipline is about knowing when to push and when to step back. It's about being kind to yourself while holding yourself accountable. It's about recognizing that rest and recovery are not indulgences, they're necessities. And this is where positive habits can support you in ways that feel sustainable. Habits like getting enough sleep, eating nourishing food, moving your body, and practicing gratitude aren't just about ticking boxes. They're about creating a foundation of well-being that allows you to show up fully for your goals. When you take care of yourself, it's easier to stay disciplined. You have more energy, more clarity, more resilience. One of the most powerful aspects of self-discipline is the ripple effect it creates. When you develop discipline in one area of your life, it starts to spill over into others. Maybe you start by committing to a morning routine. At first, it's hard. You have to fight the urge to hit snooze. But as that routine becomes a habit, something shifts. You start to feel more in control. That sense of control motivates you to tackle other areas, your fitness, your finances, your relationships. It's a chain reaction. Discipline begets discipline. And the more you experience the benefits, the more motivated you become to keep going. But here's the thing, there will be setbacks. There will be days when you fall short, when your discipline wavers, when you slip back into old habits. That's not failure, it's being human. The key is how you respond. Do you throw in the towel or do you dust yourself off and try again? Resilience is a crucial part of self-discipline. It's the ability to bounce back, to keep going even when things don't go as planned. And resilience is built through practice. Every time you choose to get back on track after a setback, you're strengthening that muscle. You're proving to yourself that you're not defined by your mistakes. Another important piece of the puzzle is celebrating progress. Self-discipline and positive habits aren't just about pushing yourself, they're about acknowledging how far you've come. Did you stick to a new habit for a week? Celebrate that. Did you make a tough decision that aligned with your goals? Recognize it. These small moments of celebration reinforce your efforts and remind you why it's worth it. Let's talk about accountability, because it can be a game changer. When you share your goals with someone else, whether it's a friend, a partner, you're a mentor, you create a layer of accountability that can keep you on track. It's not about letting someone else control your actions, it's about having a support system that reminds you of your commitment. But at the end of the day, self-discipline is about the relationship you have with yourself. It's about building trust in yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you're telling yourself, I can rely on me. That trust is priceless. It's what gives you the confidence to set bigger goals, to take bigger risks, to believe in your ability to create the life you want. And that's really what this is all about, creating a life that feels aligned with your values, your dreams, your potential. Self-discipline and positive habits are tools to help you get there. They're not the end goal, they're the means to an end. So where do you start? Start small. Start with one habit, one action, one decision. Build from there, be patient with yourself. Know that change takes time, but it's worth it. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a step closer to the life you want. Remember, self-discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. Positive habits aren't about doing everything at once. They're about doing the right things consistently. Together, they create a framework for growth, resilience, and success. You have the power to shape your life. You have the ability to create habits that support your goals and the discipline to stick with them. It won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Keep going. Keep believing. And most importantly, keep showing up for yourself. Let's face it, staying focused and motivated is not always easy. Life is full of distractions, challenges, and moments when giving up seems like the easier choice. We all know the feeling. You set out with a plan full of enthusiasm, and for a while everything goes great. But then life happens, you lose focus. The motivation starts to fade. Suddenly, the goals that once seemed so exciting feel like a distant dream. But here's the thing, staying focused and motivated is not about never facing distractions or setbacks. It's about learning how to navigate through them. It's about creating an inner drive so strong that it keeps you going even when things get tough, even when your energy dips, even when the world feels like it's working against you. Focus and motivation aren't just traits you're born with or lucky to have. They're skills, muscles you can train. And just like any skill, they require intention, practice, and commitment. It starts with understanding that focus and motivation are deeply connected. When you have a clear focus, a target, a purpose, a reason, it's easier to stay motivated. And when you're motivated, maintaining focus becomes more natural. They feed off each other, creating a cycle of energy and momentum. The first step in mastering focus and motivation is knowing your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why does it matter? Without a strong why, it's easy to drift. It's easy to get caught up in distractions or quit when things get hard. But when you have a clear purpose, it becomes your anchor. It keeps you grounded, reminding you what's at stake and why it's worth the effort. Take a moment to think about what drives you. Maybe it's a dream you've carried since childhood, a goal that keeps you awake at night. Maybe it's the desire to provide a better life for your family or prove to yourself that you're capable of more. Whatever it is, hold on to it. Write it down. Keep it somewhere visible. Let it be the fuel that keeps your fire burning. But motivation alone isn't enough. Motivation is like a spark, it gets you started, but it's not what keeps the fire going. For that, you need focus. Focus is about cutting through the noise, shutting out distractions, and giving your full attention to what matters. It's about saying no to what doesn't serve you so you can say yes to what does. And let's be honest, staying focused in today's world is harder than ever. Our attention is constantly being pulled in a million directions: social media, emails, notifications, endless to-do lists. It's no wonder so many people struggle to stay on track. But here's the truth: focus is a choice. It's about deciding what deserves your energy and what doesn't. It's about being intentional with your time and protecting it like the valuable resource it is. One of the biggest enemies of focus is multitasking. We've all been sold the lie that doing multiple things at once makes us more productive. But the truth is, multitasking divides your attention and drains your energy. It scatters your focus, making it harder to do anything well. If you want to stay focused, commit to doing one thing at a time. Give it your full attention. Then move on to the next. Another key to staying focused is managing your environment. Your surroundings play a huge role in your ability to concentrate. If your space is cluttered or filled with distractions, your mind will mirror that chaos. I create an environment that supports your goals. Declutter your workspace, turn off notifications, set boundaries with the people around you. Make it as easy as possible to focus on what matters. But even with the best intentions in the perfect environment, there will be days when focus feels like a struggle. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your results. It's what keeps you moving forward even when motivation fades. Discipline isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's about showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process even when it feels hard. Now let's talk about motivation, because it's not something you can just wait for. Motivation doesn't magically appear. It's something you create. It's built through action. The more you do, the more motivated you feel. That's why the hardest part of any task is starting. Once you get going, momentum takes over and motivation follows. So if you're struggling to get motivated, don't focus on the big picture. Don't think about the entire project, the huge goal, or the overwhelming task. Break it down into small, manageable steps. Focus on the first step, then the next, and the next. Celebrate those small wins along the way. Each step forward builds confidence, and confidence fuels motivation. Another powerful way to stay motivated is to visualize your success. Picture yourself achieving your goal. Imagine how it will feel, what it will look like, what it will mean for your life. Make that vision as vivid and real as possible. Let it inspire you. But don't stop there. Use that vision as a guide for your actions. Ask yourself, what can I do today to bring me closer to this? Then do it. And let's not forget the importance of mindset. Your mindset shapes how you approach challenges, setbacks, and opportunities. If you believe you can't do something, you've already lost. But if you believe in your ability to figure it out, to learn, to grow, you become unstoppable. Cultivating a growth mindset is one of the most powerful ways to stay motivated and focused. A growth mindset reminds you that failure isn't the end, it's a stepping stone. Setbacks aren't reasons to quit, they're opportunities to learn. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you're stronger than you think. And every time you rise to the challenge, you build resilience, confidence, and momentum. But let's be real, motivation and focus aren't about pushing yourself to the brink. They're not about working non-stop or ignoring your needs. Rest and recovery are just as important as hard work. You can't pour from an empty cup. Taking breaks, practicing self-care, and listening to your body aren't signs of weakness, they're signs of wisdom. When you're well rested and energized, it's easier to stay focused and motivated. Your mind is clearer, your energy is higher, and your ability to tackle challenges improves. So don't feel guilty for taking time to recharge. See it as an investment in your ability to show up fully for your goals. And while we're on the topic of self-care, let's talk about the power of positive habits. Habits are the building blocks of focus and motivation. The small, consistent actions you take every day add up over time. creating a foundation for success. Start with habits that support your focus and energy. Maybe it's a morning routine that sets the tone for your day, a daily walk to clear your mind, or a gratitude practice that keeps you grounded. These habits don't have to be complicated or time-consuming. What matters is consistency. The more you repeat them, the more automatic they become. And as they become automatic, you may free up mental energy, making it easier to stay focused on your bigger goals. Finally, remember that focus and motivation are not about perfection. They're not about doing everything right or never making mistakes. They're about progress, persistence, and resilience. You're going to have days when you feel off track, days when distractions win or your energy is low. That's okay. What matters is how you respond. When you stumble, don't beat yourself up. Don't let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. Acknowledge it, learn from it, and get back on track. Every moment is a chance to start fresh, to refocus, to reignite your motivation. At the end of the day, focus and motivation are about taking control of your life. They're about deciding what matters to you and going after it with everything you've got. They're about showing up for yourself day after day, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. Because here's the truth, no one else is going to do it for you. No one else can want it more than you do. Your dreams, your goals, your potential, they're your responsibility. And the only way to unlock them is to stay focused, stay motivated, and keep moving forward. So what are you waiting for? The time to start is now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, take the first step, no matter how small. Build momentum. Protect your focus. Create your motivation. And watch what happens when you refuse to give up on yourself. Your potential is limitless. Your dreams are worth the effort. And you already have everything you need to succeed. It's time to show yourself what you're capable of. It's time to stay focused, stay motivated, and make it happen.